Good morning, boys. Today we are learning second important example of two-dimensional motion. One example, that is one particular motion, that is projectile motion, we have studied, completed. Now the last one in this topic is uniform circular motion. Uniform circular motion. What is uniform circular motion? When an object, suppose an object is undergoing circular motion, an object that follows circular path with constant speed is called as uniform circular motion. An object that follows circular path with constant speed is called as uniform circular motion. Here the uniform term refers to constant speed. So, if v is the velocity at any particular point, right, then magnitude of that velocity gives us the speed at that particular point, and this speed remains constant. Speed remains constant throughout the motion. Throughout the motion. Such a motion is called as uniform circular motion. Now, in this case, if you look at different positions of the particle undergoing uniform circular motion, at every point it has got its own velocity. For example, if you think that the particle is here, if you draw a tangent at that point, it gives you velocity at this particular point. Velocity v1. Similarly, when the particle has reached this point, if you draw tangent at this point, that gives you velocity at that particular point. So this velocity will be different from this velocity. Although magnitudes of all these velocities are same, but their velocity values differ. What do you mean by this? Suppose I have taken at this point as v4. At this point, let us say v1 vector as velocity vector, v2 vector as velocity vector, v vector as velocity vector, v4 vector as velocity vector at 4 different points. Now, the meaning of uniform circular motion is that magnitudes of all these velocity vectors, v1 vector magnitude, v2 vector magnitude, v3 vector magnitude is always constant, same. That is the meaning of uniform circular motion. Then what does it mean? Why the velocities differ? Although the speed is constant, why do the velocity vectors differ in their values? This is important thing to be understood. What is velocity? Velocity is a vector quantity having a magnitude as well as fixed direction. When the particle moves from this point to this point, is it not its direction changing? Even though if it is going with constant speed, its velocity changes because of change of direction. When it moves to the other point, again, even though it is going with constant speed, it changes its direction. You must have studied earlier. To give you an example, in 9th standard you have studied this. Suppose you are running in a triangular track. A track is there which is triangular in shape, and you are running through this triangular shape. So when you move from say A to B, then B to C, then C to A, how many times you change your direction? 3 times. Suppose you are running with constant speed. Running with constant speed, not changing any speed, running with a constant pace. A to B, the moment you reach here B, you are changing your direction from B to C. Then from C to A, you are changing 3 times. So in a triangular track, you are changing the direction 3 times. If it is a rectangular track, how many times are you going to change the direction? See here. P to Q, Q Q to R, R to S, S to P. Suppose you are returning back with a constant speed, are you not changing the direction 4 times? So if it is a rectangular track, then you have to change 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 times. So even though you are running with a constant speed, you are changing the direction 4 times. It means you are having 4 velocities. If it is a pentagonal, track, then you will be changing the direction 5 times. Even if you are running with same constant speed, but velocity changes 5 times. V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. If it is a hexagonal shape, you will be changing the velocity 6 times. I think you got the point. So if it is any polygon, having n number of sides, then you will be changing the velocity n number of times. You will be having n velocities. So you must have understood now a circular path. A circular path is understood to be having infinite number of sides. A circle can be now understood as a track of infinite sides. It's a polygon having infinite number of sides. Means as when you are running on this circular path, you will be changing the direction at every point. So the direction is changing at every point. So when the direction is changing at every point, even if you are running with constant speed, the velocity changes at every point. So that's the meaning of change of velocity. Even if you are running with constant speed, there is a change of velocity. So if there is a change of velocity with respect to time, we call that one as acceleration. If you recall, rate of change of velocity is called as acceleration. So here the change of velocity takes place because of change of direction. So we can write here there is change of velocity at every point. Even though speed is constant, because of change of direction. This is very important point. There is change of velocity at every point on this circular path because of change of direction, not because of change of its magnitude. Magnitude of velocity remains same at every point, but there is a change of direction at every point. Because of change of direction at every point, there is a change in velocity. This change in velocity leads to an acceleration. So uniform circular motion is thus can be stated as an accelerated motion. So it is an example of accelerated motion. Therefore, the change in velocity at every point leads to rate of change of velocity with respect to time. This rate of change of velocity with respect to time is called as acceleration. Thus we conclude that Uniform circular motion. Uniform circular motion is an accelerated motion. Is an accelerated motion. Then, as velocity is a vector quantity, when you say that it is an accelerated motion, it is having acceleration. Then what should be the direction of acceleration? Then how to find out the magnitude of acceleration? What should be the direction of acceleration? That is the interesting point. To give you an example of uniform circular motion, if you think that Earth is revolving around the Sun with constant radius in circular orbit, the Earth is assumed to be revolving around the Sun as the center, with Sun as the center. If Earth is revolving around the Sun with constant orbital radius and assuming that the orbit is circular in shape, then we can say that the Earth is undergoing uniform circular motion. Similarly, if the orbit of Moon around the Earth with Earth as the center, if the orbit of the Moon around the Earth is considered to be a circular orbit, if it is a circular orbit, then revolutionary motion of Moon around the Earth, revolving of Moon around the Earth is also an example of uniform circular motion. Now we have stated that uniform circular motion is an example of accelerated motion. Then what is the direction of acceleration and how much is the magnitude of acceleration? That is the question. This is what we are going to solve now in this session. Finding the direction of acceleration and magnitude of acceleration. Now, let us consider the circular part of this, and this is the center of this circular part, and think that the particle is undergoing uniform circular motion along this part of circular path. Now suppose this is the position P, initial position P, and if you take this one as the center O as the origin, then the position measured from the origin is called as position vector R1. Let us take this position vector R1 at time t. After some time t, the particle has gone to another position, say P dash. Suppose this is the position P dash. After some time T dash, then you draw this position vector. So this is another position vector R2. Although magnitude of R1 and R2 are equal, because the length of this R1 and length of R2 give you the radius. Magnitude of R1 equal to magnitude of R2 equal to radius. Let us say R is the radius. R is the radius of this circular path. Now, if you draw a tangent here, look here. This tangent drawn at the point on the path gives you direction of velocity. Let us take this velocity as vector v1, and the velocity at another time t dash, this is at time t dash. Let us take this velocity as the length should be same. The length should be same because their magnitudes are same. Magnitude of v1, magnitude of v2, magnitude of v3 same because it is moving with constant speed. So draw the same length and call this one as vector v2. So there is a change of velocity vector as it moves from P to P dash because it is undergoing uniform circular motion. Now, from P to P dash if you draw it, so this gives you the displacement. Displacement is given by delta r. We know displacement delta r is r2 vector minus r1 vector. Final position vector minus initial position vector gives us the displacement vector delta r. Now we are interested in finding the acceleration value. We have concluded that it is accelerated motion. Now we will find out how much is the acceleration and what is the direction of acceleration. So for that, the procedure is in this time interval from t to t dash, the difference in time is t dash minus t. That difference in time we take as delta t. In this time delta t dash minus t, what is the change in velocity that we have to calculate? So change in velocity gives us delta v. So this is a vector problem. So draw a parallel vector here, same length, draw here. So this gives you initial velocity vector which is at t. Then draw another velocity vector v2 parallel to this. See here. This is v2. Draw parallel vector here v2. And their magnitudes must be same. See, this gives us final velocity vector v2. Final velocity vector v2 minus initial velocity vector v1 gives us delta v. See here, delta v is, you can see it is directed towards, and if you join this delta v, interestingly this delta v is directed towards the center. Delta v is directed towards the center, and delta r is perpendicular to delta v, or delta v is perpendicular to delta r. That we shall see later. We are interested now what is the direction of this change in velocity vector delta v. It is directed towards the center. Okay. Now first we will calculate what is the average acceleration at this particular time interval. Average acceleration a bar is denoted by a bar. It is defined as change in velocity vector by time taken. Change in velocity vector delta v by delta t. This gives us the average acceleration for the time interval t dash minus t. v2 minus v1 vector, you can write here v2 vector minus v1 vector divided by t dash minus t. Now I want to find out the instantaneous acceleration at this point p. So next what I will do? I will reduce this time interval. Suppose this time interval delta t is 1 second. Now I am going to reduce it to 0.5 second. If it is 0.5 second, then the particle will be still closer to this point p. After leaving here, it will be somewhere here, right? Now I will draw one more diagram. Same circular path. I am drawing the same circular path for reduced time interval. This is the center O, and this is the initial point P from where we are considering the position vector R1 vector as I have drawn earlier. Now suppose when I reduce the time interval from 1 second to 0.5 second, the point will be somewhere here. Let us say this is point P dash. So draw tangent. So this tangent here gives us the initial velocity vector v1 as it is. Then draw a tangent here. This gives a final velocity vector you can take now v3, another velocity, because it is a different point, so velocity will be different. And this position vector you can take it as r3. We are interested now in changing velocity. So again, draw the diagram for changing velocity. The particle now has moved from P to P dash in the time interval delta t dash. Delta t dash is less than delta t as it is done earlier. Now again draw a vector diagram as we have drawn here. Draw the vector diagram. So draw a parallel vector. Parallel vector as you have drawn earlier. Same parallel vector here. So this gives us velocity vector v1. Then draw v3 parallel vector. Parallel vector v3. So this gives us v3 parallel vector, v3 to v3, and please note that the lengths v1 and v3 must be same because they are of same magnitude. Then again join v3 minus v1. v3 minus v1 gives us now change in velocity delta v dash. Now this delta v I am taking as delta v dash. Now again look at the direction. The direction is again towards the center. Again it is directed towards the center. So this is again giving us the direction of delta v dash. So thus I can calculate now for reduced time interval average acceleration a dash. Average acceleration a dash as equal to delta v dash by delta t dash. Now the average acceleration is again directed towards the center. So in both the cases, if you observe, it is directed or pointing towards the center. Now I am reducing the time interval still further, delta t dash to half of that. Say from 0.5 second I am reducing to 0.25 second. Point p dash will be still closer. Next, from 0.25 second I am reducing to 0.1 second. Still it will be closer. From 0.1 second I am reducing it to 0.01 second as we did earlier, if you recall. I want to find out what is instantaneous acceleration at point P. So in order to find out instantaneous acceleration at point P, I need to reduce this time interval exceedingly small, infinitesimally small. Time interval delta t exceedingly small value means tending to 0. So when it tends to 0, then the point P dash will be almost lying close to this. So if you draw the diagram, here I am drawing the diagram. This is the center and this is the point P, and we have drawn the velocity vector. This is the linear velocity vector. Then point P dash will be almost close. I cannot draw it so much close it will be because time interval now it is reduced to 0.000001 second. So it is displaced, definitely it is moved from one point to another point, and if you draw the velocity, changing velocity vector, it is almost a slight change here, and that v dash minus v gives you acceleration vector as it is done in previous cases. Delta v is directed towards center at time interval delta t. Delta v dash is directed towards the center when the time interval is reduced to delta t dash. When the time interval is now reduced to exceedingly small value dt, again delta v, exceedingly small value delta v, we call it as dv. dv is now directed towards the center. So thus it becomes an acceleration vector which is directed towards center and is called as acceleration vector directed towards the center. Center seeking acceleration. This center seeking acceleration in all these cases is called as centripetal acceleration. It is called as centripetal acceleration. We'll define this centripetal acceleration. Now you see the direction. Velocity vector at every point. Velocity vector at every point is along the tangent drawn along the direction of motion. Whereas the acceleration vector at that point, which we call it as instantaneous acceleration vector at that point, is directed towards the center. It is directed towards the center. Therefore, it is called center-seeking acceleration. It is called as centripetal acceleration. The meaning of this procedure we can write beautifully with maths, with the help of maths. Instantaneous acceleration A vector is equal to limiting value of average acceleration, limiting value of average acceleration delta V by delta t as the time interval delta t reduced to exceedingly small value, that is delta t tending to 0. This is how we define acceleration. So this is directed towards the center, therefore it is called as centripetal acceleration. This can be also written as dv vector by dt, which is acceleration vector. So the meaning of this one is exceedingly small value of change in velocity vector is dv, exceedingly small value of time interval delta t tending to 0 is written as dt. So this is how we define instantaneous acceleration as a limiting value of average acceleration as time interval tends to 0. Already we have defined same thing, same definition we make out here, and using this we can find out the magnitude, and direction is also being found out using this graphical method. I think it is clear. So acceleration, since it is directed towards the center, it is denoted by AC. AC. So AC represents centripetal acceleration. Since it is directed towards the center, so it is called as centripetal acceleration. Acceleration is directed towards the center at every point. It is directed towards the center at every point, therefore it is called as centripetal acceleration. And if you want to find out, for example, come back to this circular path. Suppose I want to find out the instantaneous acceleration at beginning point P. Let me call this as P1. Then it will be directed towards the center O. So this you can call it as vector AC. Now if you want to draw a perpendicular, the perpendicular which is drawn to the tangent is always along the radius. So it is radially inwards. At this point, again draw perpendicular. The perpendicular drawn to the tangent, again it is directed towards the center. So this is how we get centripetal acceleration. At every point, the acceleration is directed towards the center. This is possible if and only if the particle undergoes uniform circular motion. The particle undergoes uniform circular motion. Therefore, in general, when the particle undergoes uniform circular motion, the tangent drawn at every point gives us velocity vector at that point, and the perpendicular drawn to that tangent is always directed radially towards the center. Radially towards the center means it is directed along the radius towards the center. So such an acceleration which is always directed radially inwards towards the center is called as centripetal acceleration. I think that is clear. Acceleration which is always directed towards the center radially inwards. Radially inwards is called centripetal acceleration. I think you can write it on your side. Centripetal acceleration. Next, we will find out the value of this centripetal acceleration using this vector diagram. Using this vector diagram, we are going to consider these triangles OP, P dash, and I will call this one as GHI. So these are the two triangles OP, P dash, GHI. We are going to prove that these two triangles are similar triangles. Okay. Okay. We have found out the direction of the acceleration which is directed towards the angle. Now we are going to find out the magnitude of this acceleration. To find the magnitude of this acceleration, I have drawn the same diagram once again. This is the circular path, and here is the initial velocity vector v1 at point P, final velocity vector v2 at point P dash, and O is the center. Same diagram I have repeated once again. And this is the velocity diagram. Velocity v1, see here, this is velocity v1 parallel to v1, velocity v2 parallel to v2. So I had drawn parallel vectors, and then I could find out the delta v. See here, the delta v is directed towards the center. So this gives you change in velocity vector. So the acceleration is directed towards the change in velocity vector delta v. So it is directed towards the center. Now consider these two triangles. Consider triangles OPP dash and triangle GHI. Let me call this one as GHI. Same triangle GHI. These two triangles are similar triangles. How do you prove that similar triangles? Look at this. Magnitude of OP is equal to magnitude of OP dash, because this is initial position vector r1 and this is a position vector r2 at P dash. And what is the magnitude of r1 and r2? That is nothing but the radius of circular path. Radius of circular path is same. It is always at constant radius. The circumference is always at constant radius. Therefore, r is same. Now look at this diagram. GHI. Again, velocity vector v1 and velocity vector v2. They are at different directions, but their magnitudes are same. Magnitude of v1, as I said earlier, is equal to magnitude of v2 is equal to v. So the lengths of v1 and lengths of v1 and v2 are same. So if look at this. Earlier the velocity vector of the point P is along v1. When the particle has gone to this point P dash, the same velocity vector v1 has turned through certain angle. The angle through which it is turned is same as the angle through which the radius vector is turned. The angle through which this position vector is turned. If position vector OP is turned by an angle delta theta here, the perpendicular drawn to this radius vector is also turned by same angle delta theta. If this is angle delta theta, this one is also angle delta theta, because these velocity vectors v1 and v2 are perpendicular to radius vector. Okay, I think whatever the angle through which it is turned by same angle. Even the velocity vector also perpendicular is also turned by same vector. So you can imagine. Okay, you can imagine this is a tangent and this is radius. If the radius is turned by angle 60 degree, look at this once again. If the radius is turned by angle 60 degree, is it not the tangent also turned by 60 degree? If the radius is turned by 90 degree, the tangent is also turned by 90 degree. So by whatever angle the radius turns, by the same angle even the tangent also turns. If it is here, if it is turned by let us say 60 degree or any angle delta theta, even the velocity vector v1 and v1 is also turned by same angle delta theta. So this angle, if it is delta theta, this is also same angle delta theta. So in this way these are forming isosceles triangles. So OPP dash and GHI form a pair of isosceles triangles. Consider these are pair of isosceles triangles. Angle POP dash is equal to angle HGI. Angle HGI. And R1, magnitude of R1 is equal to magnitude of R2. Therefore, these are of equal lengths. And magnitude of V1 is equal to magnitude of V2. These are also of equal lengths. Thus, they form a pair of isosceles triangles, and thus they are also similar triangles. Therefore, triangle OPP dash and triangle GHI are similar triangles. Now we are applying the property of similar triangles. The ratio of their corresponding sides are equal. We are intersecting delta V. Look at this. HI by PP dash. PP dash is nothing but delta R. HI by PP dash is equal to V1 by R1. That's it. Ratio of their corresponding sides are equal. So using that property of ratio of corresponding sides equal, I am writing delta V magnitude. HI means length of this delta V. Delta V divided by delta R magnitude means that is PP dash. Delta V by, you can write one step, you can write here. HI by PP dash is equal to this one, is equal to OP by GH. Okay, I have taken this triangle first, so correspondingly here V1, magnitude of V1 by magnitude of R1. So you can write magnitude of V1 is nothing but V. I have written it. Magnitude of V1 is nothing but V divided by magnitude of R1. Magnitude of R1 is R. Thus we get V by R. This is what we are interested in. Thus, this implies delta V vector. Magnitude of delta V vector is equal to, take this delta R this side. So it becomes V by R into delta R. V by R into delta R, where V is the magnitude of velocity and R is the radius and delta R is the change in position, displacement. Okay. So thus we have proved this is the result. Now come back to the equation of centripetal acceleration. We have let us make only magnitude, because already we have found out direction. We are interested in magnitude. Therefore, magnitude of AC equal to limit delta V by delta T magnitude as delta T tends to 0. Magnitude of delta V by delta T as delta T tends to 0. Just substitute the value of delta V, magnitude of delta V here. Magnitude of delta V is equal to V by R delta R. That's it. limit delta t tends to 0. So I am substituting the value of delta v. So delta v is v by r into delta r. That becomes delta v, and there is delta t in the denominator. So that delta t I am writing here. Yes, that's it. Now take out this v by r. You are left with limiting value of delta r by delta t. Limiting value of delta r by delta t with respect to delta t tending to 0 is nothing but instantaneous velocity, and magnitude of instantaneous velocity is speed. Therefore, this I am going to write in the next step v by r, keeping it outside, limit delta r by delta t as delta t tending to 0. So this we know from the earlier equations. This is nothing but magnitude of velocity. So magnitude of velocity, I will write it as velocity itself. So thus it becomes v square by r. Therefore, finally we get centripetal acceleration. Magnitude of centripetal acceleration is v square by r. Magnitude of centripetal acceleration is v into v square by r. It means centripetal acceleration is directly proportional to square of the velocity, and is directly proportional to square of the velocity, inversely proportional to radius. Thus, we can conclude AC is directly proportional to v square. AC is inversely proportional to radius of that circular orbit. So thus we found out both magnitude of centripetal acceleration as well as direction of centripetal acceleration. So direction is always toward the center, and its magnitude is given by v square by r. So if you know the velocity or speed of an object undergoing uniform circular motion, and if you know the radius of that orbit, one can very easily calculate what is the centripetal acceleration. So by the knowledge of speed and radius, we can calculate centripetal acceleration.